Happy Saturday, Dolphins fans and Canes fans who escaped with a lucky victory over Virginia Tech on Friday night. This is Dolphins In Depth. I'm your host, Omar Kelly, and you are entering the Tyler Snoop Huntley era of the Miami Dolphins. Mike McDaniel has announced him as the starter, and Isaiah Smalls, Biggie Smalls, I got to figure out a right nickname for you, is joining us. Obviously, that is not much of a surprise to those of us who watch practice, those of us who've been in the locker room. The team has confidence in Tyler Huntley because of his ability to have won NFL games, which is something that Tim Boyle has not done. What is this the right move for the organization, or what did Mike McDaniel justify his decision?
Look, he said that one of the things that really impressed him, even before he announced the quarterback change, is that he's a big fan of somebody that can step in and win games, especially for an NFL MVP, right? And obviously that is what Tyler Huntley did for Lamar Jackson. So I'm going back. I'm trying to, give everyone context. And so today, it wasn't necessarily surprised. I wasn't necessarily surprised when he mentioned that Snoop will be taking over the QB1 because of the way that the guys just kind of believe in him, right? They've seen his past work. They see that he can do this again. They believe he can do this again, And I think the locker room's behind him. And obviously, Mike McDaniel is a very players first coach. So you take the input from the players. They say that they can win with this guy. And look, I mean, now it's a chance, despite, being here, roughly 2 weeks?
Yeah, you know what? I have a little bit of discomfort in it. Not like there's a better option out there, because there clearly is not a better option. I don't even think if Skyler was healthy that Skyler would be a better option based on what we saw against Seattle. While I am not ready to throw Tyler in a dumpster bin, I have a hard time saying that he's ready to start based on what we saw in Seattle. But maybe it would have looked different at home if he did not have broken ribs. But he has broken ribs. What I found interesting from Mike McDaniel's press conference today, Saturday, their last day of preparation before they get to Monday night's game. They'll have a walkthrough tomorrow on Sunday before they sequester themselves in a hotel. But what I found interesting is that Mike McDaniel basically was like, well, it was really between Tyler and Skyler and seeing how much Skyler can do. And we're out there. Literally, Skyler can't throw the ball 10 yards. That was from day one, day two. I'm pretty sure maybe he can throw the ball 15 yards now. He's probably going to be the emergency quarterback because they need a third emergency quarterback. But why do you think that Tim Boyle was not even a factor, a consideration in the equation?
I think if you look at his past performances, I don't think there's been anything that could give you faith in him being able to to lead a team.
It didn't look horrible last week.
I mean, that was like a quarter. I'm talking about before that. Don't forget, one of the things that was asked of Tim Boyle this week was, did Javon Holland give you any crap for what he did to you last year? And he said no. We're all professionals, but funny enough, Javon walked by and smirked or something. It was hilarious. If you were there and you saw it, he said something. Javon said something too. I couldn't make it out, but I could see the smirk on his face, right? And so to me, if I'm in head coach, right, I don't know why I would put the guy who our defense dominated last year into, to win this game, because it's a crucial game, right? You lose 3 straight, you got to start scratching heads. You're going to start pointing fingers.
Are they not scratching heads and pointing fingers now?
Oh, they definitely are, but more so against a winless team. And obviously, you remember what happened last year in the comeback victory the Titans had over the Dolphins. And it's a bunch of lip service saying look, we don't really care. This year's this year, and last year's last year. But
it ruined everything you wanted to do last year. Yeah.
Exactly. So they care. That's what I'm not putting any stock into that. I think the guys and I think Weaver put it perfectly yesterday. He said, look, the guys that have been here, they know what it means when, those two teams meet. But for the guys that aren't here, we just want to get a win. But we do know how they feel. So it's it's a bunch of.
I found it interesting that Mike McDaniel also said same opponents, same day of the game, a Monday night game, same at home. So, clearly there's going to be flashbacks. That was a turning point for the season last year. And what I will argue to you is that the Titans have been a turning point for Dolphin season many, many years. Let's go back to the last year of Flores and Tua, where basically Ryan Tannehill beats him with the third string running back, and they clinch the AFC championship in that game, and the Dolphins are basically eliminated from the playoffs. Tua and Flores have a feud in the locker room, and basically Tua says, "F you, Brian." And that was pretty much the end of their relationship. That was a clinching game. Last year, Dolphins playoffs right in front of them, AFC East in their hand, 2-game lead on the Buffalo Bills. All they had to do was take care of business, and they pooped the bed. And that cost them a home playoff game, cost them first AFC championships in 2008. So tell me, why do you think this is not a turning point game right here?
I do think it's a turning point game. I do. I totally think. Just personally, Calais Campbell told me this last week before the loss to the Seahawks that like good teams don't win 2 in a row, don't lose 2 in a row. Excuse me, right? And that's true. That's true. Obviously, you think about the quarterback and what happened there and all that stuff. Like, all right, like I'll give them 1 game, right? But this game against this winless team,
on your third quarterback. Hold on your third quarterback.
Look. Someone has to step up. Like that's the thing. Like I think when you look at the ability, Mike's ability to get the ball in his playmakers' hands, we just haven't seen that since week 1. And even week 1, I was about to say, you take out that 80-yard touchdown pass to Tyreek, and it just wasn't there. So I think this has to be a game where you just specifically get the ball into the hands of playmakers, whatever way possible. And on the defense,
and the Titans' goal is to keep the ball out of the hands of the playmakers.
Of course.
And let everybody else beat me. I think the biggest issue is everybody else can't beat them. And in fact, I had an NFL player call me and basically say, what's wrong with the Dolphins? This is a former defense player. He said, what's wrong with the Dolphins? When they take away their first read, they panic and they don't adjust. And Tua was not going from read 1 to read 2. Tua was going from read 1 to check down. And that's the lazy way to quarterback. And so this team had been taking a lazy way to play the offense. It's like, okay, you got Devon Achane there and you got Raheem Mostert when he's healthy. The check down should be good. No, that's not how you run a good, efficient offense. And that wasn't what the Dolphins were doing last year. It was read 1 not there, read 2. And clearly now that you moved on to Skyler can barely get read 1. You move Skyler. The biggest issue with Skyler, and I'm not a tremendous critic. I wrote a story in the Miami Herald, which basically verified what the head coach, the offense coordinator, the coordinating coach, quarterback coach said, which is that when Skyler's healthy, Skyler's the quarterback. Now, we all can agree or disagree with that, but they know more than we do about the subject. And that performance that we saw against Seattle was not Skyler, according to them. Now, I throw the air quotes up because I don't know. I don't know. But the offense was not on schedule. But here's my issue with it. What makes us think, 1, that Tyler Snoop Huntley is going to come in here and be a savior, and then 2, he's going to run an offense on schedule on an offense that he doesn't even know. On language and terminology, they're going to be calling and making plays and calling things into the huddle. Skyler, you got that? No. That's going to be the response. And then what? Yeah. Do you have 5 plays that you just say, okay, we don't know what we're doing. The clock is running. Let's run this. Like, is that how you have to go into the week?
I think you got to listen to what Mike said, right? He said that, the wristband, right? That's what they did a couple, what was that, 2017 when they got Garoppolo and he played after a month? Obviously, a month and like a week plus is 2 totally different things, right? But at the same time, you kind of just got to do what you got to do. If the team doesn't believe in Tim Boyle, why would you put Tim Boyle out there?
True.
Like, that's the bottom line. So, the guys seem to think he can do it. We're going to see on Monday. I think the defense has to play, obviously, a lot better because the defense can't really stop anybody. And they have, those trio of receivers in Tennessee.
That's not fair. Wait a minute. They're one of the best teams on third downs. That's stopping somebody. Now, when they get to the red zone, okay, they don't stop nobody.
They stop anybody. The
Hey,
big plays, they can't. For whatever reason, the big plays have been a huge deal.
If we're getting off the field on third downs, I'm stopping somebody.
That's true.
I'm stopping a lot of people.
That's very true. However, one of the things that I wrote about last night is it seems like every time that there's a big play, the team just seems like defeated after that, right? You saw it against Buffalo. You saw it last week against, and it's usually
small sample size,
very small sample size, but they have never been able to recover. They don't necessarily even score.
I mean, hold on. The offense hasn't been able to score points.
I agree with you, but
they'll get into the red zone. They'll be at the 6-yard line and do nothing with it.
I agree with you. But as much stock as we put into, this defense and the names that we have on there and all that stuff, like this defense has to step up. If you know the offense is on its third quarterback, if you know the offense isn't playing well, you have to do everything in your power to limit the big plays. You have to do everything in the power to limit the huge gains so that when the offense gets the ball, that they can actually move down the field. The field is manageable, all that stuff. They haven't been able to stop anybody on the defensive end to the point where, by the time the offense gets the ball, it's like the big play against. I
disagree with you. Look at the Seattle game. That was a game at the halftime.
The DK Metcalf, you're right. It was a game at halftime, but they didn't score anymore. They didn't score a game. 17. That DK play put them up 17-3, right? And you would think okay, cool. They still got something, right? They're still going, but they weren't able to move the ball, weren't able to do anything after that. They would move the ball a little bit, but then it just would fall flat. They couldn't score.
That's penalties and procedural stuff and miscommunications and late calls into the. But do you really think it's going to get better with a quarterback who's been here 2 weeks? That's my.
No.
Not only that, but here are the challenges that the Miami Dolphins face heading into this game Monday night against the Tennessee Titans. Down their Pro Bowl starting quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Down their Pro Bowl running back, Raheem Mostert, who obviously he hasn't been ruled out, but he hasn't played for 2 weeks and this mystery chest injury. He says he's not going to play with protection, and they're not going to let him play without protection.
We didn't see him out there, too.
Okay, so down your Pro Bowl left tackle in Terron Armstead. Down your leading tackler in David Long, who Mike McDaniel basically said it's going to be a Hail Mary for me to allow him to play against his former team, the Tennessee Titans, just because you playing against your former team and getting your revenge is not what's right long-term for us when we've got this hamstring injury that you need to get over. So you're down 3 Pro Bowlers and your leading tackler, and not even to mention Kendall Fuller, your starting boundary cornerback. It's going to be Nick Needham. It's going to be Ethan Bonner, maybe Nick Needham. We're going to have a milk alert on the field anytime Ethan Bonner comes onto the field. It's going to be spicy. Let's just put it that way. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be licking his chops and want some Ethan Bonner. And so will Calvin Ridley. So it'll be very interesting and see how I'll be curious to see how the Dolphins protect them. Or do you play Storm Duck with a bad shoulder?
I don't think so. I mean, he's red jersey again out there today. I don't think he's going to be ready necessarily
against big physical receivers. It just sounds like a recipe for disaster to me.
Exactly. I think they've been praising Ethan Bonner all year. Look, let's go see what he got.
Hey, that's what you want?
That's not what I want, but I'm here to just cover the team.
Ethan can play. Ethan can play. He's got speed. He can handle himself with the speedsters in the Tyreek Hill and the Jalen Waddles. What my concern is those receivers that can outmuscle you, push you around, bully you, which is Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins. How do you perform against that? So it'll be interesting. But I think for those who will remember, Cater Kohu struggled against the Tennessee Titans as well as a nickel cornerback. Crossing routes killed him the last game, as it did all season. Do you want to take him from a position of strength, which is his nickel spot, and put him out there on the boundary and see what happens, and then have Nick Needham play nickel. I don't like my options. I don't like my choices, but these are where we are.
Yeah, no, that's real. I mean, that actually sounds rather interesting. I know Weaver yesterday said that he prefers Kohu in that nickel spot. So we'll see. I mean that's a very valid option.
Now,
Mike
Isaiah Johnson, he does have size. He does have size. He does have good footwork. He can probably handle some of these bigger receivers. That's an option that's out there for you.
Yeah, but like he was on your practice squad for a reason. It's gonna be like rolling a dice. Whoever Calvin and D Hop see on that edge they're gonna just feast. They're gonna, at least in their mind, they're gonna be like, just throw me the ball, because it's not gonna be Fuller. It's not gonna be Storm Duck. It's I don't even know who it's gonna be, because I totally even forgot about that, about the possibility of elevating Needham and moving Cater to the outside. But all these options are not good. These options are terrible.
This is where you find yourself in the first month of the season. The Dolphins talk about having to overcome and face tons of adversity. Well, they will. It's here. You're on your third quarterback. You're going to probably be starting a rookie offensive tackle in Patrick Paul. You're going to have Anthony Walker starting as your inside linebacker. You're going to have Milk Alert out there on the boundary. So the question is, how do they manage to do enough to get the victory? What is the recipe in your mind, Isaiah?
I think on the offensive side of the ball, you got to make it as simple as possible. I think whatever are those 5 plays that Tyler Huntley is gonna sit down with Mike today and be like, look, I really love these, not so much these. Whatever those 5 plays are, like, I mean, you're gonna start there, and however well or doesn't or not well he does, you try to expand on there. Or if not, if he doesn't do well, you try to limit it. But
I think you're going to see a lot of rollout. You're going to see a lot of play action. The rollouts creates either or passing options, and then also you have the opportunity to have the wide receiver. I mean, the quarterback run. Everybody, what I do find very interesting is everybody thinks that Skylar Huntley is going to be the savior, and he's going to be a savior just because of his ability.
Tyler Huntley, Tyler. Just call him Snoop.
I don't want to. His mama called him Tyler. I want to call him Tyler.
Tyler.
His real name is Tyler. Like, people just I don't know how people just make up names, and I just decide I want to go by it. Like you, Isaiah.
Isaiah's my middle name.
It's not your real name, brother.
My mom refused to call her little baby boy Claude. That is an old man's name. She refused to call that. The only way that she was going to name her son after her husband at the time's father is if we call him Isaiah. And that's how I'm here talking to you right now. All right. So continue what you take. Leave me and my names out of it.
All right, Claude. I don't know how people think. Like, what do they think? He's going to become Lamar Jackson overnight? And understand that in all the games that he's played, he's averaged 25 rushing yards. Does all of a sudden adding 25 rushing yards to the equation change the dynamics and the nature of this team?
No, but I will say this. The receiving core that he played with in Baltimore can't even sniff this receiving core's jockstrap. I will be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. And so I think they're banking on these guys, the defense playing the too high, trying to double team Tyreek, trying to take Waddle out the game. And that in of itself creates more running opportunities for him. And I like what you said about the play action, the rollouts, to give him that either or option.
RPOs too. RPOs.
Yeah.
I think he can eat on RPOs. And for those who don't understand, RPO is a foundational piece of this offense. It has been here even before Mike McDaniel got here. Under Brian Flores, they primarily ran RPO with Tua. Obviously, nobody here except for Waddle is part of that, but they incorporated that because Tua is an RPO specialist. They have tutorial videos from Alabama teaching high school players how to run the RPO using Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah. So it's a great, and I don't know Tyler's experience level in RPO, but I definitely think that it's going to be a great opportunity for this team to sort of get first downs. Now, the question is, can they execute in the red zone, which we've seen them not be able to execute in the red zone with Tua Tagovailoa. So it's going to be interesting to see from that standpoint. Defensively, they've clearly got to stop the run against the Tennessee Titans. That's not been a strength of this defense. Anthony Weaver has addressed it. Everybody just do your job. Don't try to do anybody else's job. Don't try to make the play. Make the plays that are there for you. Do you have the confidence in the belief that they can get it done stopping the run moving forward?
Against this team, not particularly. I think I was looking up the numbers yesterday. They averaged 4.7 yards per carry, which is good enough for, I think, like 7th in the league with the ties that are, there. So I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't. I think you talked a lot earlier about, the presence of the lack of a true nose tackle in this defense, right? This guy that'll just take up space. And I think we're seeing the effects of that now. Like, they really can't stop anybody on the run. And it's bad. So I don't think this is the team that they get that done with. Honestly, I don't. Yeah. Unfortunately.
They've allowed the last 3 opponents to rush for over 100 yards. I believe they've had 5 rushing touchdowns. It's really an issue in the red zone, but that's where your big lines have to step up, and you're going to need more from those noses. What about David Long's absence? David Long is still the leading tackler on this team right now. Do you have confidence in Anthony Walker stepping up and stepping to the forefront and getting the job done? That's a lot of head shaking.
No, not really, because you look at this team, you see what David Long means to them just off the field, right? And it's difficult to replicate that on the field, right? If you have that, David Long's a captain, right? He's a guy that has been working hard for a very long time. They decided to reward him this year with the captain. Anthony Walker's okay. Like, I don't think that, like, he's
75 stars, brother, is a little bit better than okay.
I don't think he's terrible. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he's terrible. I just think that sometimes you miss the veteran leadership that comes with the captain, right? I think production-wise, it might be similar, right? But I think when it comes to a leader of your defense, right, someone that is a vocal presence, I think that will be missed. Now, obviously, you have Calais there. You still have Jalen. You still have
Zach Sealer and
Ram. Yeah. You still have a lot of people, right? But I think, that missing that guy, it's going to be important. Anthony Walker's going to play well, but I just think he's definitely going to be missed.
Yeah, when you talk about Anthony Walker, you're probably taking a step down from a run stopping standpoint, but also a step up from a pass coverage standpoint. And so I don't think this is going to be a situation where Jordan Brooks is just going to have to be assigned to the back or to the tight end just because of David Long's shortcomings in pass coverage. We already addressed the Kendall Fuller absence. Patrick Paul, you ready to see the rookie? You ready to take the bubble wrap off?
100%, especially with Jeffrey Simmons not being active or potentially not being active. I think he's questionable for the game, right? So I think that's McDaniel talked a lot about putting rookies in positions to succeed, right? Like, you don't want to just throw them out there, just throw them out there. And against a defensive line that is not without Jeffrey Simmons, it's going to be great. They're going to be great for Patrick Paul at least. So I think I'm ready for it. I mean, I know you're very high on him. He made some great blocks in the preseason, but obviously this is preseason.
What I like about Patrick Paul is he's got a nasty temperament, and that's not something that you saw from University of Houston. It's something that you saw in training camp. He got to the NFL. He started pushing people around. He's like, wait a minute, I could push people around? Wait a minute, okay. I could bully people. I could have a nasty temper. And I've never seen an offensive lineman. Probably Bryant McKinney's the only offensive lineman I've ever seen that size. Just a massive human being and good feet, decent hands, improving hands. The question is, can he move people? And can he work his hands and block these elite pass rushers? That's going to be a very interesting thing. I think he definitely does get the start over Kendall Lamb. Kendall is going to have to be Kendall's work all week at the left and right tackle just to prepare himself to be the backup. And if Patrick Paul goes out there and struggles, you break in case of emergency with Kendall Lamb and you put him in there and you're good to go. The hope is that they can help facilitate a better rushing attack. And to be honest with you, I don't know if that's going to happen until Raheem Mostert gets back and gets cleared. And I know Dolphin fans are just think Raheem's just average, but I mean, there was a reason he was a Pro Bowler, a reason he set a franchise record for touchdowns, reason he's one of the best outside zone runners in the NFL. And here you are, your outside zone running game isn't working, and you're wondering why. So, it's partly because you do not have Raheem. So let me get a prediction from you, Claude. What are you thinking on that Monday night?
I'm going to say, first of all, not going to be it's going to be an ugly game. I don't think either team hits 20 points, right? I'm going to say, I'm saying 17-10. I'm going to go Titans, 17-10 Titans. Yeah.
This has got to be a game where if you are going to right the ship and you're going to stabilize it, putting yourself in position to rebuild your team and rebuild your season when Tua gets healthy, you gotta win this game. I think it's a desperate point. I think elite players are going to have to rise to the occasion, and so I'm going with a 24-21 Dolphins victory. This is somebody got to step up. Somebody got to step up. I don't care who it is, but somebody has to step up, and it'll be interesting to see who it is. Maybe Tyreek actually plays like the number one player in the NFL.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. All right, folks. This has been Dolphins in Depth. We will be back after the game. Looking forward to recapping what is a very interesting Monday night game against the Tennessee Titans and the Miami Dolphins.
For sure.